Welcome back to Behavior Gaps: Navigating Life with Behavioral Economics. Hi, I am Amanda, your guide to the world of behavioral economics. We meet again in the second episode of Behavior Gaps. I am going to introduce some key concepts in behavioral economics with some examples of how these concepts play out in real-world situations. Please keep in mind that behavioral economics combines elements of both psychology and economics to understand how and why people behave in certain ways in real-world situations. Behavioral economics has grown from a simple idea to understand consumers' responses towards markets to a complex study of consumer behavior and its irrationalities and complexities. Here are key concepts of behavioral economics. 1. Bounded rationality. Bounded rationality is a concept in behavioral economics that suggests that people are not perfectly rational decision-makers. Instead, their decision-making is limited by cognitive constraints, such as incomplete information, limited time, and cognitive biases. As a result, people may make decisions that are suboptimal, but still good enough, given their limited resources and cognitive abilities. 2. Biases. Biases refer to systematic deviations from rational decision-making. Cognitive biases include confirmation bias, overconfidence bias, self-serving bias, status quo bias, herd mentality, loss aversion, and others. For example, the confirmation bias describes the tendency to seek out information that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs and ignore information that contradicts them. Another example is the optimism bias, where people consistently overestimate the likelihood of positive events and underestimate the likelihood of negative events. Many people believe that they are less likely to get into a car accident than the average person, even though the statistics say otherwise. These biases can lead to mental accounting errors and other common pitfalls that can influence how people spend their money and invest. Understanding and detecting these biases is important for making informed decisions in behavioral economics. To overcome this bias, there are some strategies. One is to highlight the availability heuristic by making past bad events more easily retrievable from one's memory. 3. Heuristics. Heuristics are mental shortcuts that individuals use to make decisions quickly and efficiently, but which may lead to systematic errors. Heuristics signify the process of replacing a difficult question with an easier one. Heuristics are mental shortcuts to make decisions faster and simplify the process of coming to a reasonable decision when the perfect one is unreachable. The anchoring heuristic is an example of a decision-making heuristic, where people rely too heavily on the first piece of information they receive. The availability heuristic refers to the tendency to judge the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind, rather than on their actual likelihood. The first piece functions as the anchor when we are making the subsequent estimates. For example, in negotiations, the first offer serves as an anchor, and subsequent offers are judged relative to it. It's important to gather opinions from multiple sources and consider all available information before making a decision. You can also try to refute or confirm an anchor by researching other sources. 4. Nudges. Nudges are subtle changes in the choice architecture, or the way choices are presented, that influence behavior without limiting freedom of choice. In behavioral economics, a nudge is any aspect of the choice architecture that alters people's behavior in a predictable way without forbidding any options or significantly changing their economic incentives. A nudge is an intervention that maintains people's freedom of choice while directing them in a specific direction. A simple example of a nudge in action is the placement of healthier food options at eye level in a grocery store. The placement can encourage consumers to make healthier food choices without limiting their freedom of choice. Another example is a prompt on a website that reminds users to log out when they're done with their session, which can nudge them toward better online security practices. There are several strategies to nudge people. One is to make the desired behavior fun and easy. Another strategy is to slow down the process, utilize senses, give feedback, and visualize the end result. Nudging can be an effective tool for motivating people to take action without forcing them or limiting their freedom of choice. Nudges are often used by policymakers to steer people toward making decisions that are in their best interest, while still allowing them to choose freely. For example, default options, like enrolling in a retirement plan unless you opt out, are the nudge used to increase participation in beneficial programs. 5. Emotions. Behavioral economics explores how emotions can influence decision-making, and how biases and other factors can lead to irrational choices. Emotions play a significant role in behavioral economics. In the field of public health, emotions contribute to unhealthy behaviors such as smoking, alcohol consumption, and overeating. Emotions also influence unrelated decisions and can linger even when the decision is unrelated to the emotion. For example, sadness elicited by a prior event has been found to influence eating behavior. A classic case of the impact of emotions on decision-making is the endowment effect, where people value an item more just because they own it, even if it has no objective worth. For instance, people may hesitate to sell a stock that has lost value because they feel a strong emotional attachment to it, despite the rational decision being to sell it. Understanding behavioral economics can help people exercise greater self-control and develop healthy habits. Behavioral economics offers insights on how people can make better decisions given constraints such as biases and heightened emotions. We will explore deeper into the biases, heuristics, nudges, and emotions in the upcoming episodes of this channel. Afterwards, we explore some branches of behavioral economics such as behavioral finance, behavioral game theory, and others. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video was useful.